On the 31st of May 2003, tragedy struck at Holiday World Splashin Safari in Santa Claus, Indiana, when Tamar Fellner, a 32-year-old woman from New York, boarded the iconic wooden roller coaster known as the Raven. After enjoying the ride so much on the first time around, she decided to ride again, unbeknownst that this decision would be fatal. But what happened to Tamar that day? Let's talk about it. This is the Raven roller coaster disaster, the death of Tamar Fellner. Holiday World Splashin Safari is nestled in the charming town of Santa Claus, Indiana, in the United States. The park opened its doors on the 3rd of August 1946 with the name Santa Claus Land, and it was the world's first theme park. Louis J. Koch, its founder, envisioned a place where families could feel Christmassy all year round. Over time, the park evolved and expanded, introducing themed areas dedicated to various holidays. In 1984, it was aptly renamed Holiday World to reflect its broader spectrum of holiday-themed attractions. Holiday World is divided into distinct themed areas, each celebrating a different holiday. These range from Thanksgiving to Halloween. In the Halloween area, rides such as The Legend are found, a Sleepy Hollow-themed wooden coaster, as well as the Scarecrow Scrambler, one of the park's oldest rides, which debuted in 1976. The Halloween area is also home to the Raven roller coaster, one of the park's most notable rides. The Raven was conceptualized in 1994 by the now defunct Custom Coasters International. It was named after Edgar Allan Poe's famous poem, The Raven. The ride first opened on May 6, 1995, exactly 150 years after the poem was published, according to the park anyway. From the station, riders swiftly navigate a 180-degree turn before plunging down an 85-foot drop at 50 miles per hour. Emerging from a tunnel, the coaster ascends again, then sweeps over Lake Rudolph and through a wooded terrain. After a final drop and series of curves, the ride concludes with a swift turn into the brake run, ending the journey approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds after it sets off. 2 trains operate, with each train consisting of 6 cars, accommodating 4 riders each, with 2 rows per car holding 2 riders each. Safety measures include individual lap bars and a 2-point lap belt. The track spans 2,800 feet and features an 85-foot and 61-foot drop. The ride was a fan favourite at the park and had been since its debut in 1995. It was even voted the best wooden roller coaster in the world from 2000 to 2003. It ran without incident up until May 31st, 2003, when Tamar Fellner visited the park and decided to ride. Tamar was a 32-year-old woman from New York and was attending an event held by the park called Stark Raving Mad with her fiancé, Robert Wietzner. Tamar was a popular woman, described as a dark-haired beauty. She was renowned for a great sense of humour and deep empathy for those less fortunate. On that day, at approximately 8 o'clock in the evening, Tamar, along with her fiancé, boarded the Raven roller coaster, sitting in the rear seats of the last car. As per usual, the operator of the ride checked both of their safety restraints, and he confirmed they were locked in and safe to go. The ride set off, made its full trip, and returned to the station without a problem. Tamar and her husband enjoyed the ride so much, they decided to ride it again and remained seated. As there wasn't much of a queue at the time, the ride operator allowed them to do so, but made sure to check their safety restraints again before letting the roller coaster leave the station. This was confirmed by the fiancé, Robert Wietzner, who stated they were both restrained safely before leaving the second time. Once again, the roller coaster would set off, but this time, Tamar would never make it back to the station. It is quite unclear what happened next, but 3 witnesses from different angles in the park said they could see Tamar virtually standing up on the roller coaster. Suddenly, during the last decline of the ride, Tamar fell from the roller coaster, hitting the track and then falling below. Riders in front of the couple didn't see what happened, but began to hear Robert screaming that his fiancée had fallen out. Once the roller coaster returned to the station, Robert, who was now in hysterics, told the ride operator that Tamar had fallen out of the ride. Robert, the ride operator, a passenger, and a doctor then ran towards where she had fallen. They found her lying under the wooden structure, unconscious on the ground. The doctor who was with the group began CPR, whilst the rest called for emergency services. They arrived at the park quickly, but sadly it was too late. Tamar was pronounced dead on her way to the hospital. According to the forensic pathologist at St. Joseph's Hospital, the cause of death was blood loss due to multiple injuries. It was determined that Tamar fell from a height of 40 feet, or 12 meters, causing multiple fractures to her body. Investigators Clifton Lee White and Christy Rabley of the Santa Claus Police Department were put in charge of the investigation. Their task was to review reports, photographs, and interview witnesses from the incident. They learned that when the roller coaster returned to the station, Tamar's safety restraints were unfastened. Examination into the seatbelt found no defects, and it was deemed to be working correctly. Investigators then looked into the train and the car, but was unable to find any defects. They claimed that there was no indication of crime or criminal activity, and gave the verdict of accidental death. The roller coaster was inspected the same day, and was running fine without problems or guest complaints. It was determined that Tamar purposely took off her safety restraints. The report read, Miss Fellner engaged in conduct contrary to the rules of operation and in disregard of the verbal instructions and posted written warnings. These actions resulted in Miss Fellner placing her body in a position that the ride was not designed to carry human passengers. Once in this undesigned position, the forces exerted on the body resulted in Miss Fellner leaving the passenger carrying area of the car and falling down through the wooden structure to the ground. The injuries sustained resulted in the unfortunate loss of Miss Fellner's life. It also read that in the report that investigators were unable to get any information from her fiancé Robert. He never returned any calls or cooperated with the investigation. After the investigation, the ride was deemed safe and reopened, but the story doesn't end there. A few years later, after her death, the family of Tamar sued the park for negligence. According to the Fellner family, the park failed to manufacture the restraints properly and said that they never should have been able to open whilst the ride was in operation. They also said the park failed to train their staff properly, failed to maintain the safety restraints, and failed to provide adequate warnings, and as a result, Tamar was killed. The hearing took place in October 2007, where both parties agreed to an undisclosed settlement. This court case caused a fair bit of controversy, as many believe the family was wrong, but I will let you decide that in the comments below. There were theories flying around that Tamar panicked and stood up, although she had been on the ride once already and enjoyed it so much, so I can't see this happening. Others say the park covered the whole incident up, but I couldn't find any substantial proof for this, although her father did say her death makes no sense. Either way, this was a tragedy and a young girl's life was lost. Tamar was described as spirited and intelligent, and over 1,500 people turned up to her funeral, which says a lot about her character. May she rest in peace. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. I personally don't think the park covered it up, and we will never know what went through Tamar's head when she undid her safety restraints. Either way, this is tragic, and may she rest in peace. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching.